Well, good evening, and thank you for joining Conscious Leadership. We welcome you to this broadcast. This is Myrna Morris Young, and I am a spiritual life and entrepreneurial coach. Just want to let you know that consciousness or awareness is essential to living a life on purpose. When we live life unconsciously, we open ourselves to random events, accidents, and undesirable outcome. This webinar is configured in 3 parts. In part 1, we will begin the conversation to identify your personal mission or the mission of your business entity. We will create a vision statement, which is your path to your mission. Then we will look at bringing awareness to what sets you apart from your competition, who are the key people that will help you succeed, and identify some of the personal development tools. In part 2, we will take a brief look at how to effectively offer feedback to your team. And in part 3, we will look at some of the parameters of influence. Finally, we will end with a coaching offer, which is meant to be the launching pad to your successful mission. The power source of any intention is attention. What you pay attention to will grow. But first, a little background on me. I entered the entrepreneurial arena back in 1992. At the time, I was a salesperson for GE selling microcomputers. Our company received an invitation to a Tony Robbins seminar. I went with my colleagues from work, and I left that seminar totally transformed. It was like Tony reached out and personally unleashed my personal power. 2 months later, I purchased my first limousine and started my own limousine service called a Royal Livery Limousine Service. In 1998, I received the award for Entrepreneur of the Year from the African Canadian Chamber of Commerce. On the screen, you will see a picture of me featured in the Ontario Business Report in March of 1999, talking about my Entrepreneur of the Year award and also some of my successes. My vision at the time was to become the largest limousine operator in Toronto. But that vision was interrupted by a new vision, and that was to become an American citizen. I sold my business and put all my energies into this new goal. It took me over 10 years, but I finally realized my goal of becoming an American. Almost simultaneously, God put a new goal and had me write a book. The title of my book is Becoming Conscious, My Awakening, and it was to be revealed years later as the foundation for me becoming a spirituality coach. I believe that the spirit controls the man. Therefore, the first stage in any desire is to understand its source. My desire now is to become a top performance coach so I can help others achieve their goals, use the talents and gifts given to them at birth, and to multiply those talents to succeed. With that vision, I became a certified coach by the University of Miami and credentialed by the International Coaching Federation. I hope that by the end of this webinar, your vision and mission will be clear to you as well. So let me welcome you again. If you have a question during the this broadcast, if you can just enter it into your chat box, and I will be happy to answer it. So as we transition to my first slide, I will go over again what we'll be talking about in the first section of this webinar. We'll look at creating your vision statement. We'll look at the difference between a vision and a mission statement. We will look at your edge, what makes you stand out. We will look at key relationships, and we will look at some personal development tools for you. So first, let's take a look at vision. What is your vision for your organization, or for you personally if you don't have an organization? You know, we should dream in color, which means that we write down the details. And if you have a pen and paper handy, it would be great, so we can make this a working webinar. So ask yourself, how big can your vision get? Are you going to be local? Are you going to be international? What will you be famous for? What is going to be your niche? What types of employees are you going to attract? I believe in the law of attraction, and what it states is that what you think about, you bring about. So if you think that you want to have the best employees, somebody that's committed, someone that can buy into your vision, and not someone that's just going to be there to collect a paycheck, that's what you will attract. Where will you be located? Do you want to work from home? Do you want a penthouse suite? Do you want to be in a retail location? What products and services will stand out? What will the media say about you? Do you want them to say that you give back to your community, that you offer the best service? What's going to be the most memorable about your brand? What is going to be your biggest achievements? And finally, over what time frame? Goals should be specific, and they should also have a time frame on them. Some additional thoughts on vision is that it should be compelling. It needs to get you out of bed. It needs to light a fire under you. Does it capture the highest and best reason why your organization exists? Now, if you're doing a vision for your career, some of the questions that you can ask yourself is, what do you want your career to look like? What does success mean for you in your career? How successful do you see yourself becoming? Where do you see your career going over time? What milestones will you achieve along the way? At the end of your career, what would you have experienced looking back? Okay, now let's take a look at your mission statement. Your mission, as opposed to your vision, is what contribution is your organization going to make? What is the higher good your organization serves? Why does it exist? If we're looking at personal missions, you're looking at what's your legacy. It's another word for it. We're all here for a purpose. What is going to be your legacy, whether it's, personally or your mission? What will your biggest achievements, and again, over what time frame? Your mission is you and you alone. It exists to help you keep clear about your purpose in your career or for your company. It's inspiring. When you ask yourself, why am I working so hard? What's the larger contribution I want to make? And this is also where you look at what are your talents. We were all born with gifts and talents and strengths. What we do is that we make those strengths grow by self-improvement, but we all have some natural abilities. So when you're looking at what it is that you want to contribute, you look at your talents and your strengths. So some examples of a mission statement is, I bring new technologies to people and change their lives for the better, if you're a technology expert. I help people succeed by being organized, if you're an executive assistant. I help people start businesses and realize their dreams, if you're an entrepreneurial consultant. And finally, if you're a children's author, I write books that makes kid dreams big dreams, for example. So I like to do a poll right now, and I want to ask you if you currently have a mission statement for your company in place. So if you can just answer yes or no, it'd be great. Okay, so I am seeing some no's. So that is, I'm glad I'm able to, to share something new with you today. All right, so now we are going to go and look at your edge. What does your organization do best? What should you do best? You can ask yourself the question is, have I captured what we do best? Given where the market and competition are heading, what is it that we should do best for our company? Are we really the best in this area? How can we do even better? Leaders and organizations, leaders, not only help their organizations develop an edge, they also have unique, valuable abilities, skills, and knowledge that stand out. So what are the things that you personally do better than anyone else and that enable your ongoing success? It looks again at your talents. It can be something functional or a specific industry knowledge that you have. Professional relationships, your experience, your ability to solve specific problems or get results in a specific situation. A talent that you may have turned into a valuable skill. Some examples of an edge would be, I am leading a mobile application developer, if you're a software developer. I know more about the paper industry than anyone else, if you're an investment banker. I help build teams that turn around struggling financial institutions. if you are a turnaround expert. So take a moment to think about your edge. What sets you apart? Okay, as we roll into 2015, let's look at some of your top 3 to 5 initiatives that you need to drive in order for your organization to keep and improve on its edge. You know, a lot of times we have a lot of things that we want to get done, but success is best achieved when you focus. So even though you might have 10 or 20 things that you want to have happen in 2015 and beyond, it is good to pick the top 3 or at most 5. And what you ask yourself is, are these initiatives or goals, whichever one you want to call them, how is it better serving your customers? Is it going to improve our performance metrics? Is it moving us forward? I'm going to give you a moment to write out some of your goals or initiatives for 2015. You can also ask yourself, are these the initiatives that will help us to achieve the long-term vision and mission, strategy, performance goals, and help us maintain our edge? So those are some of the taste tests that you can give your initiatives. If it's not moving you forward, maybe you might need to, not make it your top initiative. Okay, now we're going to move on to key relationships. No man is an island. We all need help in order to succeed. So you ask yourself, which relationships are key to the success of my organization? If you're retail, what vendors do you need to succeed? If the product's not on shelf, then all hell's going to break loose. If you're looking for government officials to pass some laws, which officials are key? Which leaders in your community or in your organization is key to your success? We all need advisors. Which of them are key? The ones that I can think of would be your lawyer, your accountant, and then who else? Spouses, girlfriends, friends. If you were to ask this question to Barack Obama, you know that Michelle was instrumental in his success. So who else is important to you as a key relationship? Leaders rely on all sorts of people in all sorts of roles to achieve their vision and performance goals. So sometimes you might even want to look at if someone is in a key relationship or a key role in your company. You might want to look at what would happen if that person is no longer there. What happens if you were to lose this person? So you might want to look at ways to strengthen your power in the relationship or find alternative relationships. Just some suggestions. Okay, so now we get to professional development. How is your organization currently recruiting, retaining, and developing its leaders? What is your plan for succession in key roles? some of the questions you might ask yourself when we're looking at this slide are, how are you assessing your key performers? Are you utilizing coaching for them? Are you dialoguing with your employees regarding the company's direction, vision, and strategy? Do you have a formal succession planning for key roles right now? Do you foster collaboration up and down and across the organization? Are you giving frequent informal performance reviews? Are you walking around and looking to see what's going on in your organization? How are you rewarding and recognizing your employees? It's very important. And teachable moments. How are you providing real-time feedback? We're going to look at feedback a little later in this presentation. But we all need to grow. You personally need to grow, and the people that you are mentoring need to grow. So it's very important to have professional development as something that's key in yourself and in your organization. All right, so we've come full circle. And what I want you to do now is, for all the things that I've talked about, if you want to craft a vision statement, make your vision statement compelling. It needs to be inspiring. It needs to be unique and audacious. And write it in the present tense, so it becomes more concrete. Some examples of vision statements will sound something like this. I'm a best-selling author, sought-after speaker at major events and consulting, working with C-level executives at a global 2,000 companies. After I sell my training and consulting firm, my wife and I will travel around the world, taking a tour of the finest restaurants in Europe. Another one would be, I become known as a top investment banker in the biotechnology space and work with leading CEOs, CFOs, and entrepreneurs in the industry. People from around the world seek me out for my advice and network of relationships. So make it powerful. Make you the best that you can be. If you aim high, that's where you'll be. If you can think about it or imagine it, you can achieve it. So as we finish the first part of this webinar, next we'll go on to influence. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions for me. If you have any questions, you can just type it in the question box. No questions? Great. All right. So now let's look at providing feedback. How do you speak your truth and offer feedback? Feedback should encourage and motivate and not deflate. So in order to do that, there is a certain way that you can actually design your feedback. And that is called a sandwich model, which means that you start off with something positive. You state something positive that's truthful. Let's say if we make up a case study, we will say that you are a team leader for a team of, let's say, 6. Okay, and you want to give feedback for someone that's not performing their job. So you start off by saying something positive, like, John, you had one of the largest sales your company had last year. You are an excellent salesperson. But then you state what the problem is. And you use data that's verifiable. So in this scenario, we will say, well, the problem is that our standards of operation says that you need to do a minimum of 10 face-to-face sales calls every week. And I'm looking at this report, and this report shows that you've only done about 5 or 6 in the last, couple months or so. Now, the data is verifiable, so there can't be no argument. For courtesy, you'll ask them what their truth is and ask for their version. You'll get an excuse because that's basically what it is, but, you'll be respectful and listen. And then you can respond to that truth. John might say something like, well, it's very hard for me to make appointments because nobody answers their phone these days. Everything is going to voicemail, and they don't answer their email, so it's very hard for me to make appointments. So you said, I understand. So you speak your truth, and you make a request for a commitment. So you would say, well, John, I understand, it's very hard. But Susie is doing 12, so maybe you might need to revisit how you are setting your appointments. And if you need my help, then I'll be happy to sit with you and we can, go over a plan. But I need you to bring up your face-to-face appointments to at least 8. And I need you to do it within the next 4 weeks or so. So what we're doing here is we're getting a commitment, either verbally or in writing, and you have them commit to do an X by Y. And a commitment is not, I'll think about it, I'll see what I can do. A commitment is, okay, I will commit to bringing up my face-to-face visits to at least 8 within the next 6 weeks or so. And then you end with a genuine compliment or encouragement. John, you are one of our best. I mean, like I said earlier, you brought in one of the largest accounts that we had last year. And the reason that we're asking for 10 face-to-face visits because we believe in the law of large numbers. The more people you talk to, the more sales you would get. And if you do that, you're going to become one of our best. So I have confidence and faith in you. And let me know if there's something that I can do to assist you with that. So that is called the Sandwich model of giving feedback. And basically what that does is no one is deflated. They're motivated by the fact that you believe in them. They're motivated by the fact that you talk to them respectfully, ask them for their opinion, and you had a genuine, productive conversation. Okay, so let's do another poll, and I will, let me know if anyone in attendance, if you have a formal feedback model in place. Oh, yes. Awesome. Okay, I'm seeing some yeses coming through. So that's awesome. Like that. Okay. So now we go on to influence, which I believe is very important for success in any venture. If you were going for an interview, if you're running a company, if you're a salesperson, becoming conscious of influence is very important. I start off with a statement that says that a leader who has no followers is only out for a walk. If you're a leader, you need to be able to influence your customers, your teams, your congregation, your children. You need to be able to do that. So, here is the secret to influence, as by Myrna Morris Young. The first one would be to acknowledge them as an equal. I want to share with you a very entertaining story that I heard. A couple and their young son went into a restaurant. The waitress came up and she asked the mother what she would like to order. And she placed her order. Then she went to the dad and asked him what he would like to order. And he placed his order. And when she got to the 4-year-old boy, she looked at him and she says, "Young man, what would you like to order?" So the little boy was so excited, he tugged on his father's shirt and he says, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, she thinks I'm a real person." So the moral of the story is everybody wanted to be treated like they're a real person. Everybody wants to be acknowledged that they're equal, no superiority, whether, regardless of your color or religion. If you acknowledge them as an equal, it's the first stage in influence. Now, the second one is very interesting as well. It's find out what they want, their deepest desire, and then offer it to them. So if you have a product, you can't just go and tell people of the benefits without understanding what they're looking for. It's actually part one in the sales cycle. Finding out, doing your due diligence in finding out. And I have another story to illustrate this point. Story time here. I was just recently watching the movie A River Runs Through It with Brad Pitt. Now, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are one of my most favorite people, and whenever I see anything that they're in it, I'm like, not only have a big smile on my face, but I'm like there. So I was watching this movie, and in the movie, Brad and his brother was fishing in this river. And Brad is not catching any fish, and his brother is catching all kinds of fish. So after a little while, he looks over to his brother and shouts, "What are they biting on?" And the brother shouts back and says, "Pimento bugs." Now, this is the weirdest bait that I've ever seen, because I do fish a little. This thing had wings on it. But sure enough, Brad Pitt got himself some pimento bugs and put it on this fishing rod. And a few minutes later, he caught the biggest fish ever. So it's the same with your customers or anybody you want to influence. If you like peanut butter, doesn't mean that you put peanut butter at the end of your rod and hope the fish will bite it just because you like it. So you find out first what they like, and then you find a solution to their problem. The third thing is look at things from your customer's perspective, and then praise the good rather than criticize the bad. And the last point is very important, especially, when you are, with your children or your spouse. It's very easy to criticize. But if you find something good and praise it, I've heard stories regarding, similarity, why does the fish and the dolphins do so well and perform all those tricks. And that is because every time they do something well, they get a fish. So when they do it bad, they don't get a fish. So they are, it's how we train dogs, it's how we train dolphins. but people are always first wanting to criticize and never say what's good. They always find what's bad. So that's my version of how you can create influence. So as we wrap up and we get to the final portion of the webinar, let me ask if you have any questions so far. You guys are a quiet bunch. Okay, so no questions. So the coaching offer is based on how do you become a co-creator in your life. You know, we can look at life in a couple of different ways. We can look at it where we're just reacting. We're looking at it where we'll say, you know, I will do this if this happens. But if you're a co-creator in your life, another word for it is you become a sorcerer. Means that you're operating from the source. You decide, you know, let's talk about your initiatives. You decide, you know, in 5 years or in 2 years, this is what I want. And in order for me to get this, I have to do this, this, and this. And you go out and you get it. So when we're doing that, I want to remind you of one of the physics laws, is that every action brings with it an equal and opposite reaction. I thank you so much for joining this webinar broadcast, because that's a good action. That's an action that says that, you know, I want to spend some time and hear from someone else about how I can possibly improve my current situation or realize a goal. So every action brings with it an equal and opposite reaction. You have the power to achieve the success you desire. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your ship, as per William Henley. So I encourage you to take control. Speak your desires. You know, one of my favorite songs in church is Speak It Into the Atmosphere. I absolutely love that song. This is what happens as well when you're in the coaching conversation. You speak your desires. You get feedback. You move something forward. So the first thing is that you take control by speaking what you want. Then you take action. You do something that moves it forward. You know, one of the things that I learned way back from Tony Robbins when I went to that seminar back in '92, he says that if you want something, let's say you want a Mercedes, and you say to yourself, you know what, I can't afford a Mercedes now. Maybe I'll get one in 5 years or 2 years or however long. He says, do something. Go order a brochure. Go test drive it. But you do something to move it forward. You hire a coach, and you plan action steps, and you create accountability. How many times you have said, you know what, my New Year's resolution is going to be, I do this, this, and that. And then life happens, and you don't do it. You don't do it because someone is not asking you. And it can't be your spouse, because then you'll think they're just nagging. But in the coaching conversation, most of the work is done in between the sessions. When you come into the coaching, we work on what you want to get out of the coaching for our session. At the end of it, we're going to talk about what are you going to do with your next step? What are you going to do in between? And then the first thing we talk about when you come back the next week is, what were your results? So after, you know, a couple of weeks or so, you come back and say, you know, I didn't do it. You know, I'm not going to be your mom. But you're going to feel obligated and accountable to actually, do something and honor your word that you said you're going to be doing it. So, what I've done is I have created a program that I feel that will create consciousness. It's going to turn on the light bulb. It's going to make you understand who you are, what your talents are, design the steps, and action plan. Now, when I say this is just a light bulb, because, we're not actually going to be doing all the work to get there in 6 weeks. But consciousness is the first stage. So, in week 1, we will have introspection. A look at who you are, your values, your gifts and talents, and if you know your life purpose. A lot of us don't know our life purpose. I am a big proponent of meditation, being still. That's the only way you can understand who you are and communicate with your source. So that's what we're going to do in week 1. We're going to take a look back. And then in week 2, we're going to talk about where you are today. Before you begin a journey, you have to find out where you're starting from. If you're going to go to California and you're in Florida, it's a different map than if you're going to go to California from New York, for instance. So where you are today in relation to where you want to be. We're going to look at your top 3 goals for 2015. You're going to clarify them. We're going to understand why these goals are important to you. What are you going to achieve when you get them? If you say to me, my purpose is to help others, then we're going to look at what it's going to mean to you when you can help others. What are you going to get? They say that in order for you to get the help of God and the universe in a goal, then you should be helping others, making their life better. And when you do that, you're going to get the help of the supernatural. In week 4, we're going to design action steps to your first goal. We're going to identify the obstacles that you are going to run into. And you know these obstacles because they've been with you all your life. Some of the biggest ones are time management. And what is needed in you to change in order to achieve this goal? We have, like I said, we're born with skills, we're born with talents, but usually we need to improve on that. There are things that we need to learn, and skills can be learned. So what is it that you need to change in you, to build in you, to achieve the goal? Week 5, we're going to look at becoming empowered by enhancing your communication skills. I'm a Toastmaster, and in the Toastmaster, there are several skills that you can learn in how to be a skilled presenter. A lot of us on this webinar are wanting to be speakers and wanting to be teachers. So when you're going to be in front of a group, there's a certain way that you should organize your speech in order to have a lasting impact. And if, speaking is not your where you want to be, I am a blogger and an author, so we can look at some written communication skills. I will also let you talk to the president of one of the local Toastmasters, and she will give you her tips in becoming a top speaker. And speaking doesn't actually mean that you might a motivational speaker. Speaking is important in any avenue. If you're a manager, you're going to be doing seminars or meetings. So communication skills is very important. So that's what we'll look at in week 5. And in week 6, we're going to review, we're going to wrap it up, and we are going to be creating an action plan. Now, my session rate is $150, but for the fact that I'm rolling out this offer for 6 sessions, I'm giving a huge discount. And I picked 45% because, Groupon feels that a great discount is 45%. So I'm going to use that because everybody loves Groupons. And so for 6 of these sessions, the introductory rate is $4.95. Now, at the end of the 6 sessions, I will guarantee you that you will be clear, you will be conscious, you will be awakened, and that is the first step in achieving any goal. Now, if you still want coaching, or you need accountability, or you need help, or then we will look at that at that time, and I will probably offer you a discount, but we'll look at that now. And if you don't want to follow my package, then we can also talk about doing one that's customized to you. Just send me an email, and we can talk about it. Any questions? Now, my gift to you for joining me and listening for this hour is I offer you 1 hour free coaching session. And this is not a consultation. This is actually a live coaching session where you come into the coaching with a goal, and I will work with you to make sure that we leave the session with accomplishment of that goal. I also want to let you know that there are some statistics of what coaching helps you with. And I have it on the screen here. 77% of executives said that coaching improved their working relationships. 71% of them said that it improved their relationships with their immediate supervisors. And again, that's because if you have a problem, you speak it, you get feedback. Sometimes, a lot of times when you talk it out, you yourself has the aha moment, as Oprah likes to call it, where you yourself realize it improves teamwork. 67% of them said that it improved their teamwork. 63% said it improved their working relationships with their peers. 61% said it improved their job satisfaction. 52% of them said that conflict reduction was improved. Again, a lot of managers bring into the coaching conversation, problems that they're having with, their team members. And they talk about it, work towards a solution. So conflict resolution reduction is achieved. Organizational commitment. When you order coaching for your staff members, they become committed to your organization because you're invested in them. And then finally, 37% of them said it improved their relationship with their clients. Yeah, because it improves communication in all areas of your life. So the last slide is basically how you would contact me. So I have a toll-free number, but that's only available to my Canadian friends and for, the U.S. But I do Skype. You can send me an email to info@myhelps.us or myrna@myhelps.us. My website is www.myhelps.us. And this is where I find out if you have any questions. Oh, okay. I've only just found the question box. Hello, Tennis. Thank you for joining. What's your question? Okay, I don't see your question. Okay, so I've just responded directly to Tennis. If anyone else has any other questions. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, not a problem. Listen, thank you so much for joining this webinar. And look forward to hearing from you. If you wanted to have a copy of this presentation, send me an email and I will forward it to you with the slides on there. And I so appreciate you listening to me, and hopefully that you will give me a call for your free coaching session. Thank you. All right. Awesome. Listen, you guys all have a great night. And God bless.